follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
Good morning. Welcome in. It is Follow the Money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. This show is brought to you by DraftKings. Mitch Moss, Pauly Howard. We're live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. Fun show lineup here on a Thursday. Nigel Seeley on the Euros today, coming up in 30 minutes. We'll get into a Jets preview coming up before then, and that's going to be at about 15. Also on the program today, Mike Palm studio a little bit later on, and Richard Roper. So, Pauly, last night, with the NBA Finals over with, the draft is, it starts a week from yesterday. It's a 2-night draft now that we have in the NBA. A couple of days off between games in the NHL Stanley Cup, and it's really not quite football season yet. It feels to me like this was the perfect time to announce a news item that nobody wanted to hear. We'll tell you what that is coming up here in a second. But let's rewind first to late March. I think Fran Fraschilla is a great basketball analyst, and he tweeted this out during March Madness. He said, here's the plan. 72 teams in the field. All 32 automatic qualifiers are seeded into the field. The top 24 at-large teams are seeded into the field. Then the remaining 16 at-large teams play in the first 8 in Dayton, 4 games each instead of 2. Nothing else changes. I'm a purist, but I'm a realist. What did you think about it I remember we talked about this on the air back in March. Yep. What did you think about it back then?
If it's going to happen, that's the one I can sign up for. The first comment to the Fraschilla tweet, which has 900,000 views, is from Matt Humans. This plan is so good, I would promote expanding the tournament. It's going to happen anyways, and this is the one I can live with because we get more games on that Tuesday and Wednesday. And I think you should not, if you win your automatic bid, you get the conference tournament, you should not play in an play-in game.
I totally agree with
that. Now, that's
that.
garbage what they're doing. But these guys out here with these commissioners of the power conferences, just say, nobody wants to see this, by the way, with like 17 and 15 overall.
You don't deserve to be in the tournament.
Yeah, 6 and 12 in conference or 7 and 11. You don't want to reward mediocrity. And for these guys to come out like the Big 12 commissioner to say, wow, I want to put the best teams in the field, I don't know if we're doing that, which is laughable when we just saw Grand Canyon win a game, had Alabama on the ropes who went to the Final Four, James Madison, Utah State, Oakland who beat Kentucky, Duquesne, Yale beat Auburn. The year before, Furman won, Princeton went to the Sweet 16, Florida Atlantic went to the Final Four. But he's going to come out and say, I don't know if the best teams are getting in, which is ridiculous, and you're the only people that think this way.
Right, so I'm curious, as a gambling network, and a huge percentage of our audience, obviously, they bet on games every single day. Maybe not all of you. I'd say 90+%, maybe higher than that, whatever it is. Are you affected by this as a bettor? Because I will tell you, I felt the same exact way about bowl games for several years. If you're 5-7, you don't deserve to be in a bowl game. What are we doing? You have to reward a team that it was actually decent during the year. I fought 6-6 teams. You can't be 500 and make a bowl, but they kept expanding and adding more bowl games, and eventually we had like 84 teams make a bowl. But you know what that is? As a result, then that means we have more games to bet on. So are bettors really upset over the idea of the college basketball tournament, the most popular event the entire year outside of the NFL? Are we really upset that we're going to add more games? That's what I'm curious about. The email is open, ftm@vsin.com. We're on X at VSiN Live at Mitch Moss Radio at Pauly Howard. This is from Ross Dellinger, who had the story right away yesterday when he tweeted out the NCAA moved one step closer to a journey to expand the tournament. They presented D1 commissioners with models that would expand the event by 4 teams or 8 teams as soon as 2025 and 2026. And as a way to avoid eliminating any of the 28 small conference automatic qualifiers, a time-modern and popular concept with fans, NCAA and conference leaders are targeting the addition of at-large selections as has been done in the past. The last expansion in 2011 added 4 at-large teams and created the first 4 in Dayton, Ohio, where 2 pairings of 16 seeds and 2 pairings of at-large selections meet in play-in games. The new expansion to the field is expected to result in at least 1 additional first 4 site, perhaps in the Western time zone. So think about how the games would still be in Dayton, and then you could add another site like, what is that going to be? Like Boise's always a popular site to have these games. Sacramento, Salt Lake City, they always do like these kind of random cities. It's kind of fun for the fans in the nearby areas to go to and watch them.
It really adds to the excitement of Tuesday and Wednesday. But I want to see if this happens Tuesday and Wednesday, that it's going to be like a Colorado against a Duquesne and a Michigan against a Utah State,
right,
for play-in games, not the other guys.
No, I don't want. I don't want.
How,
they can't do this with all 16 seeds.
Yeah,
they can't do that, and they can't put St. Mary's against another non-Power 5. They just can't do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I mentioned the humans comment and the response to Franchilla. 95% of the comments are, don't touch this. It's perfect.
Yes.
This is the one thing that everyone loves and agrees, don't mess with this. But Fran's saying, I don't want to do this, but it's inevitable, so here's the best way to go about it. And I will echo human sentiments that's if it's going to happen, okay, well, let's just go up to 72. You get more juice, more games, and a better Tuesday, Wednesday schedule. You leave the little guy alone, and he's the 16 seed, but he doesn't have to place this play-in. But it's just, these are asinine comments from these conference commissioners. And it was also Sankey who said it, and that's what was so hilarious then, that Auburn and SEC teams got bounced early on. Kentucky lost, and Auburn lost because Sankey came out and said, well, we should get more teams in. Mm-hmm. And then you lost to Yale and Oakland, so how does that taste?
Right. In Dellinger's story, he wrote that more tough decisions lie ahead as well. Officials need to determine if more small conference automatic qualifiers will be relegated to play-in games, as we've talked about here. A sensitive subject for some commissioners at lower restricted leagues.
I'm also worried about their at-large chances moving forward, because they're just not. If you think it was bad before, it's only going to get worse with the expand. They're not going to be able to get games, and if you're going to play them, it's going to be like on their home floor, or it's got to be in a holiday tournament or something. I mean, it's a stacked deck against them because they're going to keep saying, well, you don't have the quality wins. Well, no one plays me.
Right.
And you also get 15 chances at these top-tier quad one wins, whatever. I get 1 or 2. But again, if you go 3-11 and I go 1-1, I deserve to be in. It's like the McNeese State discussion we had. James Madison, who won a game and beat Wisconsin. If I'm 30-4, I'm in.
You have to.
I'm not taking 17-15, and you had 15 chances to improve your resume, and you couldn't do it.
I'll tell you what, too. If this is going to lean in the direction of adding more Power 5 teams that are 16-14, or even 15-15 in the regular season, 17 whatever it is, I would absolutely consider the smaller leagues getting rid of my conference tournament now, because you don't want to take that. This is even going to be riskier for a team like that you just brought up. James Madison, if they're 30-4 and they lose in the championship game and they're out, you don't want that. This is going to be even more reason to get rid of that tournament. I will argue that to the death. I don't care what people say. It's more important to get their title games on ESPN during championship. No, it's not. You win a game or two, that's way more important.
Oh, it's a ton of cash.
Yes.
A ton of money if you make a deep run. What that means, and the exposure. Again, no one had ever heard of Florida Gulf Coast.
Ever.
Until they went to the Sweet 16 and what that
People didn't even know where the school was located.
That's right.
They didn't know that it existed.
And enrollment. But no one wants to see this other than these conference commissioners. Nobody wants to see a 10th place team in the Big Ten.
Absolutely not.
The little guy makes the first 4 days of the tournament. And it's schools you've never heard of, and all of a sudden, whoop, look at this, a 15-1 a game.
Right.
Oh, Norfolk State just won as a 22-point dog. Baltimore County just beat Virginia. I can't believe, the 16 seed. I mean, stuff like that. St. Pete's Elite Eight, Fairleigh Dickinson. That's what makes the tournament the first 4 days.
We remind people every year during college football, and upsets are much easier to come by in basketball than football, obviously, because they happen, way more often, and you're not playing with 85 players on one team, it's 12, and anything can happen on one night where a team could have a cold shooting night, whatever. But the reason why the tournament has been so big for 40 years now is because of the little guy. And the way it works is that everybody wants it in college basketball. Funny, nobody wants it in college football. But I can't get, you already said this, I can't get over this. The money quote is just, I want to set this quote on fire, actually, and burn money with this. But when the Big 12 commissioner, Brett Yormark, told Yahoo Sports in February, I want to see the best teams competing for a national championship. No different than the Big Ten and SEC want to see in football. I'm not sure that's currently happening. What a disaster.
And Sankey said the same thing.
Yeah,
you think it's a fluke if I go to the Final Four? If I win one game, okay, an upset can happen. I'm hot from 3. You can't make a shot, okay.
You want to talk about an elitist attitude. You're staring down your nose to the rest of college basketball and to quote the little guy. What was this guy like growing up as a kid? What a loser that is. What a loser comment from him.
Yeah, but how do you make that comment after what just happened and what you witnessed?
Paul,
Kentucky got beat by a guy. The kid from Oakland. I mean, how good the Golke kid, whatever his name was.
Right.
I mean that, and Kentucky actually did it a couple years in a row where they lost to St. Pete's and then they lost to Oakland, and then what happened with Yale. I mean that's laughable. And then we just saw Florida Atlantic one possession away from going to the championship game, and Butler went to back-to-back title games. Oh, buffoon! Total buffoon.
Yeah, this is from Snacks8997 on X. There's already enough terrible teams in the tournament.
I agree.
If they're guaranteed to be small conference teams getting added, I'm in. We don't want more turd major conference teams getting in.
Oh, the bubble's going to be a joke.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And when we're talking about this in March.
There will be no debate.
Yeah.
Do we take this Power 5 team that's 16-14 or this team that's 17-15 when they have no good wins on their resume the entire year? I don't understand it.
It's conference commissioners, the NC2A,
the worst
and coaches. Let's expand it. Let's do that. No one wants to. The people who watch this and love it say no and don't want to touch it.
Even when you add more games to bet on, for us, the audience here, it's not going to be a good thing. Let's follow the money here on VSiN. You can email the show, ftm@vsin.com. We're on X, at VSiN Live, at Mitch Moss Radio, at Pauly Howard. We will preview the new America's team according to mainstream media, the New York Jets. Some potential bets exist with this team, one that I made last night.
Start your morning with a daily dose of winning strategies, insider tips, and the latest buzz with the free VSiN Daily newsletter. Bill 80 on the College Baseball World Series, Game 6 Stanley Cup Final, and the soccer. Great soccer card today. Expert analysis, latest odds straight to your inbox. Absolutely free. VSiN.com/newsletter to subscribe.
All right, we take a peek at the New York Jets here today in our daily NFL previews. At DraftKings, Pauly, to win the Super Bowl, they are 20-1. The conference, they're 11-1. They're plus 190 to win the AFC East. Division wins, they're 3.5. Over is minus 115, and they are $1.60 to make the playoffs. I would call it a pretty damn good offseason. They brought in a bunch of guys on the offensive line. Still some questions there, obviously. Smith, who they brought in from the Cowboys, he was 5th in quarterback pressure percentage allowed amongst all tackles last year. Injury problems, obviously, his biggest concern. They brought in Mike Williams. This is going to be an ongoing theme with this team. I've always loved his talent. Going back to Clemson, problem, injuries there as well. Kinlaw, been banged up, Solomon Thomas, and they got Hassan Reddick as well. So if they can stay healthy, their defense got even better, and the owner came out and said in the offseason, we need to get a backup quarterback. They had Zach Wilson last year.
This is big.
Tyrod Taylor is who they added this year.
Yep, this is enormous.
Yep.
It's big for props, and it's big for the, what if something happens to Rodgers? And they sabotaged and ruined the season by not having a plan in place if that happened, and your season was over 4 plays in, which shouldn't have happened. This guy has won games, and he's made the playoffs, and this was a good move.
Oh, Taylor can play.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. So, to your point, was it a great offseason? No. But it is when you compare it to the Bills, Patriots, and Dolphins.
Oh, that's fair.
Yes. So that's why the drought ends. The Jets make the playoffs. They go over the win total, and I like them to win the division. I love what they did in the offseason. And the fact that with this motley crew of quarterbacks that they had, Wilson, Boyle, and Simeon, they still won 7 games because it's a nasty defense. Wilson's an awesome wide receiver. You get a nice 1-2 punch now. I love the acquisition of Wilson. They got to work out the contract situation and what's going on with Reddick. And let's not forget that even though he started out on a pitch count, how good Breece Hall is. So addressing and fixing the offensive line, Rodgers coming back, and an Aaron Rodgers was something to prove, too. And with solid weapons, a good supporting cast, a nasty defense, the Jets are going to make the playoffs.
The defense, in theory, got even better than last year. That's the reason why they won 7 games, is because the defense was so good, despite Zach Wilson being one of the worst quarterbacks you're ever going to see play the game of football. Mm-hmm. So they got even better with these additions. Y'all know about Sauce Gardner now, 2 years into the league. He's very good at what he does. Media loves him. Everybody tells you how excellent he is. I bet him last night 72-1 for Defensive Player of the Year. Took a little bit on that. It's tough for a cornerback. I went back and looked at this. It's tough for a cornerback or a safety to win that award. It usually goes to an edge, defensive lineman, overall, interior, or linebacker. In fact, it's only 11 times since 1971 that a player in the secondary won that award. So I'm not going to go hog wild with it. It's a smaller bet, a little bit more than pizza money, but 72-1 on Sauce Gardner. And I did buy in. I know a lot of people were all over this. I bought into the Breece Hall hype this year based on how good he was last year, and if he's going to be healthier this season, I took him for some Offensive Player of the Year. That number's down to 18-1 now, by the way, here at Circa.
Chernoff gave out, what, 35, 30?
I guess it opened here 44.
Wow.
I grabbed 30 and a little bit of 35.
Yep, I like it.
Down to 18-1. There's also a prop on him that's
Sure.
at DraftKings that we both really like.
I'll tease this now because our betting guide comes out next week, and I put 2 on there, and one of them's, yes. So will Breece Hall have 1,000 yards rushing and 500 receiving? It's plus 450. He was on a pitch count last year with awful quarterbacks. He had 994 rushing, 5.5 yards per carry, and he had 600 yards receiving with 76 receptions. I mean, how does he not do that?
I can't imagine.
Plus 450.
When you look at overall what he did with those two numbers, I think he was the second guy behind Christian McCaffrey for most combined rushing and receiving yards last year.
And I also like Garrett Wilson to have 1,500 yards receiving at 6-1. He had 1,000 yards last year, even with those horrible quarterbacks. And we know, watching Hard Knocks with the bromance and the chemistry that he had with Rodgers, and we know who Rodgers is going to be looking to all the time.
Well, that's the biggest part of the whole storyline, obviously. Where are you at with Aaron Rodgers? It's now, we are getting to the point where it's been, can people remember his MVP years? Like, that's how long it feels like now.
I don't have, my biggest issue with this team is coaching. And Saleh and Hackett. And the numbers back up my frustration and my my fact that it causes for concern that Hackett's resume as an OC is horrible, and he was lost, couldn't ad-lib anything once he went down. So I know that's his buddy, but the other thing was, can Saleh really lead these guys? And the stupid penalties week in, week out, and undisciplined nonsense we saw every week out of the Jets. That's my only concern. Would be I think Rodgers will be fine, and I want an Aaron Rodgers with something to prove and say I'm not done and okay, you count me out.
Yeah, that's the guy that you definitely want, because I can say this, I can't prove it, obviously. I don't think Aaron Rodgers was going to have a great year last year, not because of him. The offensive line was a disaster. And I think, so if you want to go coaching, my two keys to the team would be health of the offensive line, and then because by the way, last year, not the only time Aaron Rodgers has been hurt and missed some time in his career. He does have an injury history here, but if you tell me that he's going to play, start 15 games, and the O-line stays relatively healthy, they're absolutely going to make the playoffs.
Yep, and I'll tell you what, 4-1 to start, 5-1, definitely in play.
Remember, it's the exact opposite of last year.
You were all over because that schedule was so tough for them last year, and they actually, even without Rodgers, they survived that. They were
3-3.
Yes, because they came back and beat the Bills. Allen kept throwing interceptions. It was like, okay, game manager, run the ball, play defense. They could do this. They could have been a playoff team if they would address the quarterback position, but also go back to what happened a couple years ago. They were right there till late in the season with Mike White and could have made the playoffs with what they had. So
it's not easy to begin the year.
No, certainly after the Niner game Monday night, it's all these games are doable till you get to. Look at the schedule before the bye. All these games are winnable. Titans week 2. Patriots at home Thursday night. They finally ended the drought, beat them the final game of the season. Broncos at home. Vikings in London. Bills at home Monday night. Steelers, Patriots, Texans, Cardinals, Colts. The Colts game's at home. Mm-hmm. Then the bye week hits. This really could be a nice record that they have going into the bye.
So I want to point this out. They are +5 in terms of net rest compared to their opposing teams this year, which is good. However, when you look at the first 7 weeks, with game 1 being on a Monday night, that means week 2 is going to be short rest. And then what happens the next week? They play on Thursday night. So we're talking about 3 games right away for this team, 2 of them in prime time, and then 2 out of the 3 games going to be on short rest. Travel game to London's packed in there with no bye week.
They'll be all over Darnold in that game. That is not going to go well for Darnold. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, and then they get the Bills on a Monday night,
Yeah.
and then what? Short rest again at Pittsburgh on a Sunday night.
Yep.
That's all I'm saying is that the teams on the schedule, they're all winnable games.
Yeah, but
The problem is like they're going to be
Okay.
not with a lot of rest, obviously.
Okay, but we love the defense, right? You don't think they're going to feast on these opposing quarterbacks?
Well, I think the defense has a chance. They actually, here's one thing you might want to look at, right? Because of the quarterback play right away, they might allow the fewest points in the league this year. They're going to be one of the short shots on the board, but fewest points
Yeah.
allowed, this could be the Jets.
Okay, so right off the bat, Purdy, all right, going to be a problem. Niners are embarrassment of riches and a lot of talent.
Right.
Then Will Levis, Brissett and or May, Nix, Darnold, Russell Wilson, Brissett or May again. I mean, look at these quarterbacks that they're taking on early on. I mean, this is
You're talking
it
about
really sets up.
that 4-game stretch where Will Levis, he's not technically a rookie, but it's his first full year of starting in week 2. Then it could be Drake May week 3. Probably won't be, but could be. Then it's Bo Nix probably week 4. And then who knows, maybe J.J. McCarthy. So either way, you're going to get Darnold or McCarthy there in week 5. Probably going to be Darnold if he's healthy. But that is, boy, you're right. It's the exact opposite of last year when they played almost every good team in the league to begin the first 6 games.
Yep. Some other props. Will Rodgers throw for 5,000 yards is 18-1. And will the Jets have a passing touchdown every game is plus 850. That's also available. This one is really aggressive. I can't. Wilson to have 15 touchdowns or more is 12-1.
Yeah, I can't get there
I need
with
a
that.
lot more than that, but I love the Hall prop and I love Wilson to get 1,500 yards.
Yeah, I don't want Rodgers MVP. It's 27-1. I'm not going to buy into that. The comeback player of the year, which we talked about yesterday, he's plus 130.
That's unbettable.
That number's too short, but he can win that
No,
award.
yeah, but you can't. Right.
Another one I don't want is Salah at 14-1. I do not want that number.
I bet Rodgers Offensive Player of the Year 75-1.
You know, that's gone up, actually. He's 150-1 now.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Offensive
God.
Player of the Year.
I don't want Salah either. Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
So, yeah, the Hall Offensive Player of the Year, if you can find 30-1, I think that's a really good number. Gardner, I got 72-1, that's circa. And the one that we both like at DraftKings is Breece Hall. The 1,000 yards rushing and 500 yards receiving. They use him every which way but loose.
Yep.
Good team. Stay
95
healthy.
targets last year. 95 targets with horrible quarterback.
Up next, yes/no playoff odds and a little bit on today's Major League Baseball card. A lot of sky is falling regarding this team, but I'll go back to what I said at the beginning of June with them. I'll tell you what that is next. Good to have you on board. We're live, downtown Las Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino. These yes/no playoff odds in Major League Baseball are changing a good, 15, 20 cents, sometimes even more than that, sometimes 50 cents or higher on a daily basis. We have plenty of examples of that from last night into today. And we can just go in alphabetical order here in the National League. For example, the Arizona Diamondbacks, losers to Washington yesterday, and that was a Patrick Corbin start. D-backs could only get 1 run.
How about it?
D-backs went from plus 145 to plus 165 to make the playoffs after the loss. They have the 6th hardest schedule remaining in all of Major League Baseball. With the Braves win last night, they moved from 1,400 on the yes to 1,800, and now they are 9-1 to miss the playoffs. We talked about that over the previous couple of weeks. They were struggling, couldn't score a lot of runs. They have injuries. They do have the 13th most difficult schedule remaining in Major League Baseball. The Cubs, here's one that moved on you. They were plus 260 to make yesterday. Now they're plus 215. And they have the 7th hardest schedule overall in baseball.
Bullpen made that interesting.
As they do, every single day?
Yep.
Okay.
Washington and St. Louis are in right now, at under 500. And what a story this Nats team is. But I can't imagine this has ever happened before. We're almost in July. There are 15 teams in the National League. The team with the 13th worst record, Cincinnati Reds. They're a game and a half out of a playoff spot. The only teams that are out of it are Colorado and Miami. The Reds are, 35 and 39.
That is wild.
And only 2 teams. They only have a better record than 2 teams. They have a better record. Yep, right.
Yeah.
But they're only a game and a half out of a playoff spot. All these teams are all bunched up here and have the same records, and then it comes down to who stays healthy, what does the schedule look like, and who's going to make moves at the deadline.
We're
almost in July. Yeah, this is bananas.
No, this has probably never happened before.
Okay, there's no way.
This deep into the season.
Out of 15 teams,
right.
They're 13th, but yet they're a game and a half out of a playoff
I'm going to hate myself because we brought this up a couple of weeks ago, and I'm telling you that at the time, Nationals were like a half a game out. Their schedule wasn't that difficult. Their pitching was awesome. I'm like, I don't think I'm going to bet it. I'm not recommending a bet. They were 25-1 to make the playoffs. Well, today they're 13-1. And if they somehow sneak in and I have no action on that, it's going to be a Peter Pan time off the stratosphere. But the problem is here, you're betting on this being sustainable. Is it?
Well,
I guess maybe everybody else is so bad, you take some flyers and one of them will land.
That's why I love our Pirates ticket. I mean, I know this. I'll go to war with Jones, Skeens, and Keller did it again.
I know.
My guy Keller.
They were, okay, for example.
Come on. Well, that's a hell of a duo or trio. And if you can start those guys and there's no injuries, I like my ticket on the Pirates. But these other teams, it's the best of the lousiest and lousiest of the best. I mean, you respect the Cardinals organization. They're playing better ball. But okay, they lose 2 in a row to Miami.
How about that?
So, and you worry about the pitching past Gray and some of these other guys, although they can hit. But
I bet that team 60-1 for most wins this month. Part of the reason why is because they have the Marlins and the Rockies, and they're losing these games to those teams. I did not anticipate that, obviously.
Yeah.
And then Arenado got hurt last night. Mm-hmm. So some of those longer shots on the board, the Reds moved from plus 275 to plus 320 last night. I think why can the Reds not get in? They have the talent. They're a game and a half back. And also the Pirates moved from 6-1 now down to 5-1 last night.
Why are the Pirates so high?
I don't understand that. I got to be betting that team too. I have them to win the National League. You have them to win the National League, but nothing on them to make the playoffs. Yeah. That might be a little silly.
Okay.
Well, the Mets are now plus 320 after yesterday.
I don't know what to do with them. I mean, they finally lost the game. Haney was good last night, but the Mets have been hot. So
they'll call the Hamburglar. Call somebody else.
Yeah, but
get
it's
them
also
out
what does Cohen do with the deadline as well? If they're close, and everyone's in it, obviously, with the exception of 2 teams. Does he go for it? Does he make moves, or that's a big part of this and the handicap? And I don't know. And I know we thought there was a chance and maybe take the 8 or 9-1 with the Braves, but now they've steadied the ship and done a nice job here the last week. So also they have a good record. But I wouldn't rule. You still can't say they're not going to rule out the fact that they could catch the Phillies. They're only 7 back, but
yeah. 2 teams there that we talked about with kind of easy schedules. The Mets have the 10th easiest, and the Reds have the 8th easiest schedule moving forward. I'm not going to be stunned if the Reds are there at the end of the year at all. American League, Red Sox.
Did it again?
Yesterday they were plus 215 to make. Today, Pauly, after their 5th consecutive win, they are plus 175. They do have the 10th hardest schedule, but I like them. They're a good baseball team. And I think kind of similar words can be said about the American League that we just said about the National League. Like, who do you really trust to make it? A lot of these teams are bad in the American League. I don't think the Red Sox are a bad I think they're actually pretty good.
Oh, yeah, 5 games over now. But then, I asked Luke, and it's like, he's a Red Sox guy. Are they going to make a move at the deadline? Probably not. I know the fans were upset with what they did in the offseason or lack thereof, but they've been a pleasant surprise in playing good ball. I go back to what I said about St. Louis. I think the same thing would be true. We have to respect the Astros and the organization that they're going to get this figured out and get back on track. And I think 7 games under 500. KC's a minus 140.
By the way, sorry, Astros, 4th easiest schedule in baseball.
Yeah, that's big.
Yeah, go ahead about
the
Royals.
And they beat Crochet last night, although he had 8 strikeouts. KC minus 145, Twins minus 260. Twins too high, way too high. Game they should have won last night. Ryan was good, no help offensively, blew a 2-1 lead in the 7th, lost in extra innings. But I know a lot of it's baked into the fact that they got off to such a bad start. But the Twins shouldn't be that high, and the Royals are a great story, but now they've stubbed their toe here a couple times against Oakland.
Well, that's the team I want to go back with to the beginning of June, because I've heard a lot of sky is falling on the Royals. I have them 7-1 to win the division. That's not looking too hot right now. I have them 100-1 to win the American League. That isn't either. But if you went back and looked at the beginning of June, when they were still playing great baseball, you kind of knew that this month was going to go, the rough waters were ahead. They were looking at the Guardians, the Mariners, the Yankees, and the Dodgers. Now, it did not go well against the A's. Did not see that one coming. But again, Cleveland, Seattle, New York, and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Of course, June was going to be topsy-turvy. They are 6-10 to this point. I'm not going to panic about this team. I still think they have a really good offense with young talent. Reagans did not. He wasn't awful last night. Wasn't his best though. And I think maybe the luster's off of Seth Lugo as well. But overall, I think the Royals are going to be fighting there to make the playoffs again at the end of the year. $1.45. I think that can correct itself here probably once the schedule eases up a little bit. Okay. Because at this point, it's now the 5th easiest schedule remaining. They're finally beyond this. But just don't lose teams like Oakland.
Where you at with Texas?
They're a big number to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
I'm a little. I know you're supposed to buy low on some of these teams. I don't want to get there with Texas. I can't get there with Houston, although the schedule for Houston, again, is very easy. Injuries and bad play.
Do we know 4 playoff teams already in the AL? Yankees, Orioles, Cleveland, Seattle.
I would say yes.
Yeah.
And then so if we do, again, look at these numbers. Twins minus 260, Royals minus 145. Are we really going to get 3 teams out of the American League Central?
Well, I would see. Boston's the division in the schedule scares me. Yeah. So, and I don't think Boston will do anything at the deadline. I would say one of those teams, and then maybe Houston. But that's
if you had
unlikely. I know what you're saying. Unlikely.
Okay. If you wanted to add a team today at plus money,
I'd take the Astros
over the Red Sox.
Yes. Schedule's huge there. Big difference in schedule.
It is, and it's a bigger number to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily disagree.
And I am concerned with what's going on with Lugo. You have to be.
Yeah.
Getting blown up here the last couple starts.
Yeah, back to the pack a little bit here. As far as the card today, O's Yankees yet again. Cole went 4 innings last night. Money came in on Baltimore, by the way. That dropped probably, a good 15 cents?
What, 60 pitches? Yeah.
Yep.
Not bad. How long are we doing this with Kimbrel? How long is this going to go on for? He blows another save. Come on. They won the game. Good job. But then it's a tightrope act with this bullpen. It shouldn't be. This is number one. I mean, this is right there. World Series is staring them right in the face. Are you going to take it? Are you going to go out and make moves now? Are you going to address this stuff?
New ownership, right, to begin the year?
You got the bad news on Bradish? I mean,
don't screw around here. Means as well.
Yep.
So
it's right there for you.
Luis Heel goes today for the Yankees.
Yeah, do you want Irvin? Heel's just been ridiculous how strong this guy's been.
I'm trying to picture what the Yankees are going to look like in a month or two once Cole gets back and he's 100%.
Hey, listen, they've been the talk of baseball. They only have a 1.5 game lead. All these blown saves and like a underwhelming start for Baltimore, and the Yankees have been up game and a half back. I mean, full marks to the Orioles.
Well, they are the 2 best teams in the American League.
Yep.
And you've said this now for a while. We should get Yankees or that's the dream matchup, right, to go to the World Series. If we can somehow land Yankees-Orioles, ALCS.
Well, the pitching let them down last year. I mean, still they had the offense. They just, the pitching didn't give them a chance last year against Texas.
Guardians got revenge on the Mariners last night. They play again today. Castillo goes against Allen.
Good game.
Yeah,
good series.
Might take a peek there at Castillo today.
Okay.
Up next, Paul's going to recap last night's betting action in Win Some, Lose Some, and we have Defensive Player of the Year numbers out in the NBA. Wait until you hear where they opened up Victor Wembanyama. We'll tell you what it was coming up next here on VSiN.
Last night? Wow, winning.
Or was it a rough one?
Well, they can't all be winners, can they?
Loser! You're a loser! Pauly Howard recaps the night in sports betting in Win Some, Lose Some.
Big day for the Dogs in Major League Baseball. They went 9-5. Padres plus 165. End a 9-game road losing streak. Rockies plus 175. Rays plus 150. Nats plus 150. And unders went 10-5 as well. Favorites continue to crush it in the College Baseball World Series, 10-1, and we get an A&M Tennessee championship game. I missed one here. The SEC was $1.80. Would an SEC team win it? It was $1.80. You can't lose now. And you got 3 of the final 4 teams that were SEC. Florida, Kentucky over 10.5 up to 12, 15-4. How about that? A 7 spot in the first.
I know.
Kid, it's the grand slam.
That is such a tough spot for the winner of that game to be in, to come back and play again last night. I'm watching the Florida A&M game. They had to go to a relief pitcher for the second time in the day.
Yeah.
Like that is not good for the arm, obviously, for the body. And guess what? He was not sharp.
Yep. Croatia, Albania, draw plus 350. An embarrassment by Croatia. Unacceptable. They give up the late goal, and that was a Euro record for the latest tying goal. To give that up in the 95th minute. They might not advance now and qualify, go through, whatever. Switzerland, Scotland, draw plus 230. Germany, 320 up to 420. They won 2-0. Usually this is in the 8 to 10 to 1 range. There have been 5 own goals in this tournament already. And that that's a juicy return. It won't stop with these damn own goals.
I'm going to check right now, see if I can find that.
Yep.
What they paid today.
Take a look. Aces storm over 169.5 up to 172.5. That's a winner. And the Aces covered. Well, they got Chelsea Gray back. And they were great last night. Another high-scoring game with the Aces. Subscribe, be part of the team, vsin.com. Our radio and podcast friends, you always want to see these tweets and videos. Are we going to the donut shop? No. That was the one last week. I said, oh, boy, the raccoon's having a good time. Raccoons out there hanging out on the equipment and going for a ride up there. And we saw the other video on social media where the raccoon shows up to the drive-thru at the Dunkin' Donuts, and the gal gives him a donut, and on his way he goes. And here they're just hanging out on the equipment and going over the ride.
Is that like a corn feeder, I think, or something like that?
Okay, that's what it looks like. He goes through it, yeah.
Yeah, so he goes on the corn ride.
Like a slide, a ride, yeah.
Yeah, and so it takes him like 2 seconds to go all the way to the top, and then that's a 12-foot drop probably to the bottom, right on the ground.
There he goes,
hey, that felt good. Let me go do it again.
Sure, yeah, all right. Excellent. Creative. One loose some, the Phillies 160 up to 185. No good. No offense. Harper hit 2 home runs. That was it. This was all over social media. Where's the security? And I think this was in Reno. Look at this lunatic. This is perfect right up Mike Palm's alley. What do you do? I mean, the guy jumps on the table. Then he starts throwing chips at everyone. And everyone's recording this. And then finally, here they come. But there's another video that was out there, too, where he starts. Here it is, right? And the poor employees. I mean, you don't think you walk into work and you're going to encounter this. And this is going to happen. He's laying down. He's taking a nap. There's chips everywhere. He's on the table, throwing chips at everyone. Where is the security?
So this is taking off on Twitter last night, probably other social media outlets as well. I watched it from countless angles. The first 2 or 3 times I saw it, there's no way the kid's 21 years old, was my thought. I thought he looked like he's 16 years old. So I cannot believe, and I totally agree with what people were saying, if this was like Vegas in the 80s, he would have been off the table in 5 seconds. Get him off the table.
Yeah.
I don't care that cell phones are out. He deserves a beating.
Yeah. Take him out to the front door. Use his head to open the door.
Have a big security. You have plenty of guys there that came rushing in. Yeah. What took so long? Get him off the table. Take him downstairs and beat the daylights out of him.
Give him the hammer. Throw him outside. Tell him the cops he got hit by a car. Those were a lot of comments. Oh, if this was back when the mob ran things, 100%, it's all over. No doubt about it. I don't understand how this can happen either. J.J. McCarthy threw out the first pitch at the Twins game. It's not even close. How can this be? You're a quarterback. He throws it in the right-handed batter's box and skips it. It's not difficult. I don't understand it. It's not hard. It's not complicated. It's, again, Kevin Spacey and House of Cards, or when it was Bang the Drum Slowly, when Danny Aiello said, I could not believe Bobby De Niro were out having a catch and he's throwing the ball like his elbow was stitched to his side. Now, come on.
I threw out one.
You're a man.
Yeah, did it once in my life at, they used to be called the Las Vegas 51s here in town, the AAA team. I threw out a first pitch one time. I practiced for a week. I had not thrown a baseball in a handful of years. I'm like, I don't want to screw this up. It was right down the middle. I zipped it right in there. Clock said, the radar gun said 82 miles an hour.
Well, like these celebrities, though, why put yourself through that if you're going to embarrass yourself? You can't throw a baseball.
Yes.
Come on, work on it.
I'm joking about the radar gun, by the way.
Yeah. Our NFL betting guide comes out next week. Oh, I'm looking at it. So many bets up there. Win totals, best bets, props. Can't wait. Season predictions. Who's going to make the Super Bowl? You got to be a VSiN Pro subscriber to get the guide. Get it for $1.99 rest of the year, all year, 13 months. It's 13 months, less than 50 cents a day. Code FTM. VSiN.com/subscribe. Code FTM. FTM at VSiN.com is the email. John McKay. The TV shows, bad TV shows, or average that you watched every episode? He said La Brea on NBC. 3 seasons. Like the concept. Just got ridiculous at the end. Rich in Canada. Peter Hamill in Iowa. Definitely White Lotus. Can't figure out what was going on in that show. Also, Blacklist and Homeland. I like Blacklist, but Peter's right. It was the same episode. It was just the same thing over and over again. But a lot of people also saying Homeland. Peter also saying Animal Kingdom on TNT. It got bad.
I think people are mad about Homeland because the first season or so was so good.
Okay.
And the potential was off the charts, and then it just kind of flipped after that. They didn't like the direction in which it went. I watched I thought the first season was awesome. And then that's the kind of the feeling that I got is like it was running out of steam immediately, in my opinion.
Bob and Palisades, Twin Peaks. Should have ended when Laura Palmer's murderer was revealed.
Oh, wow. That's going way back.
Anthony, The Office. Hard to finish it besides Dwight. Unwatchable after Michael leaves.
I can't believe I didn't bring up The Office yesterday.
Yep. Tony, he watches every morning on Nessun. Good job, Tony. Yeah, you agree?
First of all, Paul, you got to go back and watch The Office. I've told you this before. Michael Scott, you'll love Michael Scott. There's no way that you will not love Michael Scott. That's Steve Carell's character. Okay. Now, I think Robert California, the guy who comes in and kind of replaces him, I thought he was pretty decent, but overall the show definitely lost its fastball once Michael Scott left. He's an all-time sitcom character. The Office is like top 5 sitcom of all time. I'm stunned that you haven't watched it. We also got, this is from Kelly, who said the World Series of Poker used to be so good during the moneymaker years.
Oh, it was awesome how they put it together, and Lon and Norman. I never missed an episode.
Right.
I look forward to it.
Sure.
It was, yeah.
But then you had like the Jamie Gold years where the table talk, I got top.
No, they still always made it entertaining, though, because they would show so many different events.
Mm-hmm.
And it was not just the World Series of Poker main
That's
event.
right.
It was all the other events and big names making deep runs, and you get to know these characters, and they're following them around, and it's a long tournament. But I don't know what the hell's going on with it now, and it's been a long time. You're right. That was the moneymaker years. It was awesome.
So let me pay off the tease here. Globally speaking, NBA Defensive Player of the Year numbers. And by the way, I can't find the own goal. The menus are so big in soccer, I can't find the own goal numbers. But NBA Defensive Player of the Year numbers opened up yesterday. Guess who the shortest shot is on the board?
Got to be our guy.
Yeah, it's Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah.
He's 4-1.
Mm-hmm.
I think 4-1 is still worth a bet. If today is, I say this all, if today's August 25th, I'd be betting him 4-1 to win the Defensive Player of the Year. Anthony Davis, Rudy Gobert, 5-1. Bam Adebayo is 6. Chet Holmgren is 7. And then everybody else beyond that is at least 10-1. Right?
I'm with you.
If we get to the start of the NBA season, he's 4 to, like he'll be on, if you want to do like the cross-sport parlays, he'll be on them. If that number is still around.
See how he looks?
He's beefing up.
He's beefed up. Yep.
I saw this from Kevin O'Connor. He wrote a story of guys who could be in that same category as Derek White, unsung heroes who would go to a contender and put him over the top, or help them turn into a contender. He thinks Colin Sexton would be one of those guys, and he said the dream fit would be San Antonio. If they get a really good, or a solid guard overall, Spurs are going to be dangerous next year because Wemby is so good.
Yep.
So.
It's going to be scary.
And we'll ask you.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's the best player in the league but next year.
Oh, and by the way, he opened 50-1 MVP. Books did not want to open him up that high here stateside. I'm seeing 20-25-1. They don't want any liability on Victor Wembanyama, and I don't blame them.
Uh-huh.
Up next, Nigel Seeley on the show, 2-1 with his Euro plays yesterday. Some big matches on the card today. We'll get his best bets with analysis next here on VSiN.